I followed my cheating wife and uncovered something terrifying. I was never the jealous type. I've always believed that trust is the foundation of any good marriage. You don't spend your days worrying about what-ifs. You don't snoop through your spouse's phone like some paranoid detective. That's how I saw it, anyway, until last Friday. It started like any other evening. I got home from work around 6, kicked off my boots, and poured myself a whiskey. I could hear Lisa in the kitchen, humming along to some pop song on the radio while she stirred something on the stove. It was the kind of normal, peaceful moment that makes you forget anything bad could ever happen. Then my phone buzzed. It wasn't my personal phone. It was the old work phone I barely use anymore. That's why the notification surprised me. I hadn't even remembered it was still on. When I picked it up, I saw the preview of a message from an unknown number. "Hey, I'm sorry to text you like this, but I think you should know. Your wife isn't who she says she is." I frowned, my heart rate ticking up just a little. The number wasn't familiar, and the message had that eerie, deliberate kind of wording that makes your gut tighten. Curiosity won. I opened it. "Lisa is cheating on you. I have proof. If you want to see it, meet me at the Copper Horse Diner at 10 p.m. tonight." Come alone. I read it again and again. My first instinct, some kind of prank. Maybe a scam. People get weird messages all the time. But there was something about it, the directness, the certainty, that stuck in my head like a splinter. I looked up at Lisa. She was moving around the kitchen, totally unaware of the storm that had just landed in my lap. Her dark hair was pulled back, and she had this little concentrated frown she always got when she was cooking. Normal. Casual. Like she wasn't hiding a goddamn thing. I considered showing her the message, confronting her right then and there. But a voice in the back of my head told me to wait. If this was some kind of test, I needed to be smart about it. So I made up a lie about grabbing drinks with an old friend and left the house at 9:45. I drove to the Copper Horse with my stomach in knots. The whole way there, my mind raced through the possibilities. What if it was just some asshole playing a joke? What if it was real? What kind of proof did they have? When I pulled into the parking lot, I saw a man sitting in one of the booths near the window alone. He was older than me, mid-50s, maybe, dressed in a worn-out jacket with tired eyes that had seen too much. He didn't look like a scammer. I walked in and sat across from him without a word. He slid a manila envelope across the table. "You're going to want to open that," he said. My fingers trembled as I lifted the flap. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them. Some grainy, some crystal clear. But all of them showed the same thing, Lisa. With another man. Holding hands. Kissing. Walking into a motel. Every inch of my body went cold. The man across from me sighed. "I'm sorry. I really am. But you needed to know. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't ask why he was doing this. None of that mattered. All that mattered was that the life I thought I had, it was a lie." I sat there, gripping the envelope, my pulse hammering in my ears. The photos felt heavy in my hands, like proof that my entire life had just been rewritten without my permission. Lisa, my wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. I looked up at the man across from me. His face was lined with age, his expression unreadable. "Who the hell are you?" My voice came out steadier than I expected. He sighed and took a sip of his coffee. "That part doesn't matter." "The hell it doesn't." I leaned forward, keeping my voice low. "You knew to text me. You knew where I'd be. You've been watching her." I glanced down at the photos, my stomach twisting. "How long?" He hesitated, then spoke. "A few months." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. "Why?" Now he looked at me, really looked at me like he was deciding how much to say. Finally, he leaned in and lowered his voice. "Because I've been watching him." Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. I glanced back down at the photos, this time focusing on the man Lisa was with. He was tall, dark-haired, maybe mid-40s. Dressed well. He looked normal. Just a guy. I swallowed hard. Who is he? The man across from me hesitated. Then, finally, he said, "His name is Daniel Carter." That meant nothing to me. I shook my head. "So what? Just some guy?" The man exhaled sharply. "Not just some guy. He's dangerous." I blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" He leaned in even closer, voice just above a whisper. I don't know how much your wife has told you, but Daniel Carter isn't just cheating with married women. He's done this before, multiple times. And every time the husband disappears. My stomach dropped. Disappears. He nodded. Some are reported missing. Some are found dead, accidents, suicides, open and shut cases. He tapped the envelope. But the one thing they all have in common, before they went missing, their wives were seeing Daniel Carter. I felt like I couldn't breathe. This is insane, I muttered. You're telling me, what? That this guy seduces married women and then, what? Kills their husbands. The man didn't blink. I'm telling you to be careful. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, waiting for the moment this would turn out to be some elaborate joke. But the way he looked at me, it wasn't a joke. I shook my head, exhaling shakily. Why are you telling me this? Why do you care? His jaw tightened. Let's just say, I lost someone to Daniel Carter too. A long silence stretched between us. I didn't know whether to believe him. Hell, I didn't want to believe him. But those pictures in my hand, the ones that shattered my world, they were real. And if there was even a chance he was right, I had to find out the truth. I barely remembered driving home. My mind was a storm of thoughts crashing into each other. The photos, the stranger's warning, Daniel Carter, Lisa. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked the same as it always did. Porch light on, curtains drawn, warm and inviting. But it didn't feel like home anymore. I sat in the car for a minute, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I could still hear the stranger's voice in my head. Be careful. I had two choices. Confront Lisa right away, or play it smart. I wasn't ready for a confrontation. Not yet. I needed to see this through first. I needed proof that went beyond some photographs and a warning from a guy I barely knew. So I took a deep breath, got out of the car, and walked inside like nothing had changed. Lisa was on the couch, curled up with a book. She looked up and smiled. Hey, you're home late. Yeah. I forced a smile. Ran into an old friend. She nodded, completely unaware that everything had shifted. I sat next to her, pretending to watch TV, but my mind was elsewhere. I needed to know more about Daniel Carter. If what that man said was true, if other husbands had disappeared, there had to be a record of it somewhere. So that night, when Lisa fell asleep, I slipped out of bed, grabbed my laptop, and started digging. At first, there was nothing. Just a few random social media accounts, nothing suspicious. But then I searched his name along with the words missing person and death. And that's when things got weird. An article from 2 years ago. Local man found dead in car accident. Wife had been seeing another man before his death. The article didn't name the man she was seeing. A forum post from a year ago. My brother went missing after his wife started dating some guy named Daniel Carter. Cops ruled it a suicide, but we know something's off. Another case. And another. Every single one of them led back to him. It wasn't proof, not the kind that would hold up in court. But it was enough to make my blood run cold. I had to see him for myself. The next day, I told Lisa I was going out for groceries. Instead, I drove across town to the motel from the photos. It was a run-down place, the kind of place people go when they don't want to be seen. I waited in the parking lot, stomach in knots. I didn't even know what I was looking for, just a glimpse of him. And then there he was, Daniel Carter. He walked out of one of the rooms like he didn't have a care in the world. He was taller than I expected, lean but strong. Sharp features, neatly dressed. If I hadn't known better, I would have thought he was just some businessman passing through. But I did know better. I watched as he walked to his car, whistling to himself. Then he paused and turned. Our eyes met through the windshield. For a moment, he just stood there like he was sizing me up. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not even a cocky one. It was the kind of smile that said, I know exactly who you are. And just like that, I realized I wasn't the one watching him. He had been watching me. The moment Daniel Carter smiled at me, I felt it deep in my gut. This wasn't just some guy screwing around with married women. He was a predator. And now I was in his sights. I should have driven away. Should have pretended I hadn't just been caught spying on a man who may or may not have had a body count behind him. But I didn't. I opened the car door and stepped out. If he was going to smile at me like that, like he was untouchable, I wanted to see the look on his face when I wiped it off. Daniel tilted his head slightly, amused, like he was expecting me. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the back of the motel. I hesitated. Every rational part of me was screaming, "Get back in the car," but my legs moved on their own. I followed. The motel's back lot was quiet, empty except for a dumpster and a row of flickering streetlights. Daniel stood there, hands in his pockets, looking up at the night sky like he had all the time in the world. "Been expecting you," he said, not even turning to face me. His voice was calm, smooth, like a salesman's. I clenched my fists. "You know who I am." "Of course I do." Now he turned, and there it was again, that same unsettling smile. "Husbands always come looking for me eventually." My pulse spiked. "That's so." He took a slow step forward. "Some want to fight. Some want to beg. Some think they're playing detective." Another step. "But it always ends the same." I stood my ground. "And how's that?" Daniel exhaled dramatically, like this was all so boring to him. "You'll see soon enough." I wasn't interested in whatever cryptic game he was playing. I needed answers. "How long?" I demanded. "How long have you been screwing my wife?" He chuckled. "Long enough." Rage burned in my chest. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to grab him by his smug little throat and squeeze until that damn smile was gone. But something held me back. That stranger's warning was still in my head. "Be careful." And suddenly I realized this wasn't just about Lisa. Lisa was just another move in whatever twisted game Daniel Carter was playing. "Why?" I asked, voice low. "Why do you do this?" Daniel's smile widened. He actually looked impressed, like he hadn't expected me to ask the right question. "You think this is about sex," he said. "About stealing wives?" He shook his head. "It's never about the women." A chill crawled down my spine. "Then what the hell is it about?" Daniel stepped so close I could see the amusement flickering in his eyes. "It's about you." I stiffened. "That's the part nobody ever gets," he continued. "Men like you think you're in control. You think your life is solid, built on trust, on love. But I know the truth." He leaned in slightly. "It only takes one push to make everything fall apart." My stomach twisted. "It's about the moment you realize everything you believed in was a lie," he said, voice almost a whisper. "The moment you understand how weak you really are." Something inside me snapped. I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the wall. For the first time, Daniel's expression shifted. Not fear, but excitement. "There it is," he murmured. That moment, I pulled back my fist, ready to break that smug face. But then I heard it. A gun cocking. I froze. Daniel's eyes flicked to something behind me. Slowly, I turned my head. Lisa stood there, gun in her hands, and it was pointed at me. My heart stopped. "Lisa." My voice barely worked. She didn't say anything. Her hands trembled, but her grip on the gun was steady. Daniel chuckled. "Took you long enough, sweetheart." I looked between them, my mind struggling to catch up. No, this wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just cheating. Lisa wasn't being manipulated. She was in on it. "Lisa," I tried again, swallowing the lump in my throat. "What the hell is going on?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. Her eyes were wide, flickering with something, guilt, fear, regret. I took a slow step toward her. "You don't have to do this." Daniel sighed dramatically. "Actually, she does." He dusted off his collar like I hadn't just slammed him into a wall. "See, you weren't supposed to get this far. Most guys just crumble under the weight of their own insecurities. But you," he smirked, "you made it interesting." My pulse was pounding in my ears. "Lisa." I ignored him, focused only on her. "You loved me once. If there's even a shred of that left, don't do this." For a moment, something flashed in her eyes. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry," and pulled the trigger. Click. Nothing. Lisa's eyes widened. Daniel's smirk disappeared. I moved before either of them could react. Grabbed the gun from Lisa's hands, shoved her behind me, and pointed it straight at Daniel. He exhaled sharply, Rubbing his jaw like this was just an inconvenience. Well, he muttered. That complicates things. Lisa was sobbing behind me. He said you'd just disappear. Shut up, I snapped, my voice shaking. I turned the gun back on Daniel. You're going to tell me everything. Right now. Daniel sighed. Then he smiled one last time. I'd love to, he said. And then he bolted. I fired, but he was fast, too fast. He vanished into the dark before I could land a shot. For a long moment, I just stood there, gun still raised, breathing hard. Lisa was still crying. And I was staring into the night, knowing one thing for sure. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot.